Today, your
Thanks.
speaker will be Debbie Somerville. Debbie, she's the Director of Customer Success. And now I'll hand it over to you, Debbie.
Thanks, Caroline. All right. So today, I'm going to be focused on features that are specifically designed for the project or program manager in mind. The agenda that I'll go through is reviewing some of the challenges that we hear project managers typically have, understanding the critical roles within portfolio planning needed to be successful. And the majority of my time, I'm going to focus on Meisterplan and the features and show those off to you. And then we'll end with questions and answers. So throughout the time, feel free to post those in the chat. So for those project managers just starting to use Meisterplan, it's important to understand where Meisterplan fits into your ecosystem. So Meisterplan is not a project management tool. Instead, Meisterplan is a portfolio planning tool which ensures the right projects are prioritized and determines when those projects can be done based on capacity. So clear responsibilities at the portfolio level are equally important to define as you currently do within projects. And the role of the project manager is complex. Meisterplan can support many of these responsibilities. And during today's demo, I would like to show those off to you. Meisterplan can also support these other roles. And when working together, it helps reduce the risk of project failure. A Harvard Business Review study asked companies, what are top barriers from developing your strategy and delivering on that successfully? Well, project managers can relish in the fact that the top reasons are not due to project manager capability. However, within the top three, too many initiatives at one time without a clear sense of priority and insufficiently managed resources. So what does this mean to project managers? Without supporting portfolio level visibility, there are hidden dangers to your projects. If we just look at the dangers of resource utilization, this in itself has enough value to institute strategic portfolio management for companies so that you have more success on your projects. Why is that? According to Gartner, overbooked resources can contribute to project failure, and this usually is a hidden danger to any one project manager. So if all project managers keep the data updated, you will get the benefit of seeing this danger sign before it affects your project. During this demo, I will show you early on and how to enter high-level estimates in the quickest fashion. I'll call these portfolio planning efforts. I will also show you how to refine it to be more directionally accurate, which I will call budget estimates. And while it may be clear to those on the phone today for this webinar, surprisingly, it's not clear to everybody that portfolio estimates can be extremely different than budget estimates. And the hot tip here for project managers is to allow and educate and keep people informed as you're speaking of schedules and efforts. Keep your disclaimers bold. Are you speaking of portfolio planning efforts, or are you speaking of more refined estimates? Because there is a higher degree of uncertainty when you're speaking of portfolio planning efforts. So as a project manager, speak in time ranges, especially early on, 10 to 18 months or plus or minus 70%. Never sound exact when speaking of portfolio planning efforts. If you throw out something like 10 and a half months, they will perceive it as a very definite estimate and think you're within 10% of certainty. This is just a hot tip from experience. Have a common understanding of what stage these estimates are being provided, and it will help inform your stakeholders in the right way. Now, before I hop to the demo, if your project managers have one or more standard tools to track projects, Meisterplan can help to integrate this work so that you don't have to enter it into Meisterplan yourself. Reach out to us and we can help your planning in this effort. We can give guidance. We also have technical support to be able to do this. And this is really powerful. So you could be in one tool, but get the benefits of portfolio planning decisions that come with Meisterplan. All right, well, let's hop over to Meisterplan and get started within Portfolio Designer. This is one of the first areas that project managers tend to be, because it gives you a list of projects that are in priority sequence, and when the timing of those projects can be done based on the resource capacity that you see. If you see red, that's a sign of trouble. It's saying you don't have enough capacity, or one or more roles have a constraint for this project. But I want to first personalize this view for you so that it's a little easier to get into and look at. I first want you to filter by project manager. And for any project that's assigned to you, when you've logged in, it can automatically grab these projects so that you don't have to see everything else. Okay, so project manager filter either to your name or the logged in user. The other things to look at are under settings. And a couple things here based on the number of projects you are managing at one time. If you have a lot of projects, it's nice to group those projects by some other way beyond priority. So for example, I might want to view it by the stage of that project, or view it by sponsor. So there's different ways you can group it. Let me show you that by stage gate first. The other things I would like you to change is the aggregation level to none. And I want you to click on resource score and show only resources of filtered projects. And apply. Notice the stage gates. You can then see the projects within that stage gate. If you don't have many projects, maybe by stage gate's not that beneficial for you. So just play around with the settings and what looks good for your purposes. There's one other filter at a resource level that I'd call your attention to. When you're going in here and adjusting effort, sometimes you just want to know, is there an impact I need to be aware of? So show only over allocated resources is a good checkpoint for that. All right. Now, you can save these. This is one of our newer features that were released. You can save as a new custom view, and I can call this My Projects. You can, by default, assign it just to yourself as a view to save, and nobody else sees that. If there's a common view for all project managers, your Meisterplan administrator can share that view with everybody. Now, a couple things on navigation here that can definitely help. So let's look at the JIRA integration project. When I highlight this project, it's giving the time frame that was just put out there, and since this is just in definition, that's probably not a confirmed time frame. But you can already see there's problems with this time frame because there are capacity constraints. When I highlight that project, it's showing me senior developers have a constraint because they're working on a release 3.0. If I just go and hover above the next project in the histogram, code performance. And then their third, actually fourth priority is Jira integration. So this is the one that's going to take them over capacity. And when when you're looking for trouble, that's what you're looking for. Red above the Gantt and red in the histogram. There's a scenario modeling function in Meisterplan that allows you to create a copy of your plan of record and allow you to just do some what if scenarios to say, what if and I would actually use a more intuitive name with that, probably the date and February conflict resolution. And when you're in this area, you can now look for just that copy. So everything you're changing around is just in a copied version. I can view all my scenarios, select the what if, and I'm not affecting anything in your live plan of record. So this is a nice kind of way to just test the waters and what might happen if you made some changes. And what kind of changes might you make? One of those changes might be, what if I moved the timing of this project to a later time? You could then see you have the capacity in Q3 without any problems. However, you may also say that's not going to work for us. My stakeholder needs that a lot sooner. And so then you're looking to work with the resource managers to see, is there anybody else that has that skill set to fill in on these projects? Let's keep Jira integration. So at a high level, adding time to this project at the highest level, let's add a junior developer. Keep your allocation mode flexible. It's easiest to put in at an FTE level when you're just trying to say, do I need 25%? Do I need 2 people? Of course, you can change that to days or hours if your estimates are being given to you in that fashion. And then keep your Zoom level higher or to the level that, of course, you like to look at. So in this case, all I have to do is enter 2 FTE. When you're 12 months out, 8 months out, 6 months out, that might be good enough. But at some point, you're going to want to refine that estimate even further. And so you can do a couple things with some little tricks here. One trick is if I right-click into this cell for senior developers, I can split anywhere in that time zone. And now I can say I really only need 25% of somebody early on, and I need, more time later in the project. The other thing you can do is split at a milestone. That would allow you to split everybody's time at that same milestone. Notice everything breaks there because that could be the time frame everybody's ramping up. And so this gives you a different time slice. Now, when you're closer to the work, you got more details on what the project's really about, and you've refined your estimates. You've probably done a work breakdown structure, or maybe you've been doing some stories if you're doing more agile work. Then I would change that to time grid mode. You can change it to hours or days at that point, and you can refine this down to month or week if you want to get it down to that level. Again, you're trying to get a sense of time to reserve the team's time. It doesn't need to be exactly to the hour. You're just trying to reserve enough time to get the work done. When I'm in a scenario, you can always start a comparison to your plan of record. This is nice if you're starting to do a lot of different changes because you can see the changes that you've made as it relates to your plan of record. So notice back on that JIRA project, it was in December 2024. You can maybe see the highlight of the Gantt. You can also see those changes here in the overview panel. You can see that it originally was starting December 24, and then I moved it to October. And then, of course, it was ending earlier or later, and I moved it because of the schedule. Any changes to the effort can also be shown here on planned allocations. You can see I've added more time because of that senior developer. So it gives you some differences right from the panel. Of course, we have reports that also show what's different from this scenario compared to your plan of record, so you know which ones you would want to take into account. There's been also a new feature recently in this panel. So this panel, if you remember, you just pull it out by clicking on one of the options, and you could click on that option again, and it pushes back. There's the third option down is called allocation comments. Allocation comments can be used and is intended to be used to communicate between resource managers and project managers. The idea is not to take away that conversation that should be happening or calling a meeting. However, it could be a trigger just to remind people what you want to talk about. And so, for example, if I was a project manager on this project and I really wanted a certain resource because I've worked with this person, they've been part of this group before, and there's a lot of great synergies, you can put in the comments and you can flag the resource manager, Linda. And if Linda has turned on her notifications, she would get an email with this comment, and it brings it right to JIRA integration when she logs in. When Linda, as the resource manager here, gets on, she's usually going into Team Planner, and she'll see those comments on this project and on that role. It's a process that you can use for perhaps like a soft booking versus a hard booking. There's also a new security within Meisterplan that would your Meisterplan administrator could turn on that says a project manager could only add roles and not resources, and the resource manager is only would be allowed to staff to the named resource. So that's a new security. You can find security over here in Manage and User Groups. All right, let's open up one of these projects. And one of our newest features in project details is this new allocation tab. So instead of having to hop over to Portfolio Designer, which was traditionally where you would enter everybody that was needed for the project, you could actually put that now into this tab directly. And so if I were to look for a junior developer, as an example, I can just add multiple roles right directly before getting back over here. When you first add these, it is able to put in the hour, FTE, or days estimate. And so right now I'm working on hours. So say for the entire project, I need 500 hours. What this will do is spread the 500 hours over the duration of the project. Once that's there, you, of course, can hone in to week, zoom into a week or something else. But what you can also do is then just change it here directly to say, you know what, I don't need, let's kind of move this to a week level. And early on, I don't actually need this much time from this resource. I just need a portion of their time. And then say you can use some Excel-like editing. So if that little hand goes there, you can drag that over. You can do Control-C for copy and then paste some effort over here. So you can level that out based on what your milestones are for your project. Then this total will be the total of the effort that you've just managed off to the right. A couple other things you can do while you're maintaining. It does allow you to allocate now in percentage. So you could say I need for, say, Dolores, I need 50% of her, or I'm being given 50% of her time, and then it converts it to how many hours of her time she can dedicate to your project. A couple things might happen during the course of projects. You never like to lose resources, but there might be a need to replace a resource. If early on they thought it was Dolores, you can then change it to, if you search for somebody else, of course that person is given to you by the resource manager, or the resource manager can do that replacing in their team planner. So it depends on who's in here, whose role is it to keep this updated, but it is definitely, I would encourage you to make sure you've secured the resources you need for your project and a directional sense of when you need them is appropriately maintained. Now, just a reminder, if you had integrations in place, this information from your project manager tool could have been updated here for you. And now you're just looking for, are they still in place? Is there any barriers for, getting the work done? So this is a really nice area for that. All right. While I'm here, I'll just highlight this, and I'll talk about actual time worked even a little later. Entering actual time can be done in one of three ways. This way is where the project manager could be given security to enter the time as they're speaking with their team, maybe in one of the team meetings, and they hear how long they've worked on their project. So you can enter that here. The other way is the quick imports that we've had for a while. And then, of course, My Projects is the third way. That is honed in for a team member to be able to see what was planned for their work, and then they can enter actual time. And if I, for example, was planned to work on this project here for 20 hours, when I came in here and put in actual time, it would spread that to the point of today. If I did it tomorrow, it would have spread 20 hours for 5 days. You can override it, but we're just trying to give some easy ways of putting in plan time is what was done. Check, check, check. It's an easy add. All right. So let's go back to project details, because there's a few other nice changes that have happened here that I'd like you to be aware of. Let me enlarge the screen. So one of the other newer features is being able to configure, and this is a Meisterplan administrator task, but you can configure project details and allocate different tabs here. The allocation is going to be there no matter what. It's just a system tab. But you can rearrange your information to different tabs, which could help with a project status. So helping with communication, how do you grab some just basic information for a quick overview and allow them to get into details perhaps in some of the other tabs. So if I created, say, financial details, I can add new sections here. I can put in the financials. I can put in a custom section. Maybe I want to put in budget here, add my budget numbers, CapEx, OpEx. When I apply that to all projects, I now can see that information. So again, maybe this isn't the prettiest way, but you can consider how to display your information in the most simplest fashion. Now we know as project managers are utilizing this tool pretty often, recommend having an area specifically for updating on a weekly basis some high-level statuses. And so perhaps based on what you're seeing as the risk of your project, do you have, these are custom fields, so your system could look definitely different than this demo environment. But the goal is to have just enough information to provide awareness, and it helps with communication as other executives and management are looking at these projects. Often I see one or two notes fields, one for a quick summary of how deliverables and things are progressing. One could be a risk summary of what are you most nervous about and do you need some decisions made. So again, these are all things that within your process could look definitely different. I'll call your attention to this last change date. This is a newer field and can be displayed even in the project list, but it provides a sense of accuracy. If this hasn't been changed for a year or 3 months, it gives everybody knowledge to either take it with a grain of salt or go and ask you for a status directly. Another new area is in the milestones. Milestones are good for a few reasons, and one of those reasons are to provide a sense of big deliverables, key milestones that you would want your sponsor or stakeholder to see. And that hasn't changed. What has changed is the ability to add a milestone down here and a dependency to it. This used to only be done in Portfolio Designer. So this is now giving you the ability to say, I want to link my milestone here in this project, and it requires something from a different project, and I'm going to link it to the Rollout SAP, and it's related to when they, it requires something from their execution phase. What this provides you now is a quick way to see who are you dependent on or who's requiring information from you. And notice, the arrow is indicating requires, you require something or you're pushing something to them. But the red means based on their schedule, they have moved their schedule to a point where it will not satisfy your need for this milestone. So it's a quick way, even in project details, to see there's a broken milestone. The other reason to add milestones, besides seeing these dependencies and help the communication in the roadmap view, is that it allows you, previously when I split at the milestone, to help allocate time more quickly to that milestone. So there are different reasons to show that. All right, real quick on the financials. We have released a lot of these financial sections before. You can organize them a little different now in the tabs, as you know. And just to highlight, adding financial events haven't changed. It's best. The tip is to add those financial events as it connects ideally to a milestone, especially when you're early on, and not a date, so that if your schedules change, all those financial events roll with that with the schedule. Picking the financial tracker versus the cost type tracker is really dependent on the view you're wanting, and are you tracking both CapEx and OpEx costs? Then you probably only need this one tracker, and you can minimize some of this and of course see the deviations of where you're at. Of course, the reporting hasn't changed. We allow you to report on these so that you can always monitor the forecast of your spend month to month, quarter to quarter. All right. Since we were just talking about milestones, I wanted to do a quick jump over to the roadmap. The roadmap has changed a few things here. Any one of these roadmaps, any one of our views actually, you can filter those views to the project manager logged in. And so as I'm assigned certain projects, maybe I just want to see those projects on the roadmap. You can add a few other filters here, and of course save that as a new custom view called My Projects Roadmap, quarterly view or yearly view. You can group this by different things. That hasn't changed here either. And zoom in, of course, now to a week level. That used to be just up to a month level. Where this can help is where you show your milestones, even to that week level, and see what's coming and for all your projects, and just keep track of what to stay on top of. Really great for program managers who might have a lot of projects going for their program, and they want to just keep in front of that. If you hide all milestones, you can always click on one project and drill into those milestones. And if there was any dependencies, like over here, let me zoom out to the month level. If there's any dependencies, you would see those dependencies to the appropriate project. A couple other things. The color coding can be changed now in the configure roadmap. We used to have color coding out here, so you'll find that in configure. And so you can color code it based on stage or most any of the custom fields that were set up. One other thing you can configure is show percentage of completion. And this is a new field. If you're using actual time work, and I'll show you that in a moment, you can see the percentage of completion based on actual time worked. What happens is say in this unified communication platform, it shows a darker green and then a lighter green, and that's based on that percent complete. And just to kind of loop this back, if I were to open up the details, that percent complete can also be shown as a field right on your project details. All right. Let's see. In roadmap, two other things to show you. One is the save image now can be copied directly to the clipboard, whereas before it was a PNG file that was in the download. That's nice if you wanted to do a quick email, just copy it over to the email and show somebody, or maybe a PowerPoint presentation that you have. The other new feature within all of our views is this legend. So when you color code, say the roadmap, what do the colors mean? And so you can pull that out from the panel on the right. All right. So let's jump over to project list. There's a few things that project list helps project managers with, and one is to keep their projects updated. So I've created a view. If you remember, the filter is there, and I've just filtered it by the logged in user, or you could select your name. What that will do is any project that's assigned as a project manager to you would just be shown, and you don't have to worry about seeing everybody else. You can configure the columns, and for updating status, I've just updated all the fields that I want to just review on a weekly basis and make sure that they're updated. I keep this last change date here so that I can make sure something's been updated within the last 7 days. There's a couple ways to update. This directly is just in line. If I wanted to change, I have no issues for these projects, or maybe I want to change the risk level to high after the last project update that I had. I can also do some bulk edits. So if I'm clicking on a few different projects here, there's another list of kind of menu options at the top. I can edit those projects, and maybe I just want the status all to say no issues for those. What that provides is a quick update, and the last change date will be the time you did it. So if somebody else is looking, are these current, somebody would see that you are keeping on top of your projects. In a similar vein, I can also comment. So while this may not be keeping it updated, maybe I need to comment to somebody the same project, like need help here, lost resource, whatever. You can make a mass comment and mention somebody in that email. Of course, that person needs to have their email notifications enabled, and then they would receive an email for the 3 projects, and it would take them directly here to Meisterplan. Now, there's other views I would recommend you setting up. I've set up a few just to be inspired for you. One is monitoring the plan you had against the last baseline time. And in this case, I'm recommending if you don't use approved total effort for something else already, to use it for a baseline. So after you set up your initial project and you have all the resources and roles in there that you need, and you realize based on everything you've put in, it's 1,800 hours or 1,800 days, that baseline can be saved. And now if that project got updated, say by the resource manager or yourself, because maybe scope was added and you needed another 50 hours, that updating the allocations would show you what a deviation was compared to your last known baseline. And so it's just a quick way to say how often are you doing that, or how large is the deviation, because at some point, you know that is impacting other projects if you're taking more time from those resources. One of the other areas is actual time worked. To monitor that, I showed you the way you can now enter actual time worked in the allocations tab. You can also enter those in, team members can do it directly in My Projects, or you can import it. When you start importing actual time worked, or you can do it through an integration, that's 4 options. You can get actual time worked in. What this will now give you is, what did you plan to do on that project to that time when you say you import on every Friday, and how much deviation is that? Because if they're not working your plan, then work isn't getting done, and that's just going to need to be pushed into a future time place. And so this is one of those signs of trouble that you want to keep in front of you. This percentage complete, being a new field, automatically calculates based on how much time is being imported. You can also, of course, put in some of the financial figures to monitor. So you had approved budget, maybe you have the approved CapEx or OpEx as well. What's your current cost thoughts at completion, and how much are you deviated from that? This could give a quick way of sorting by that and looking for the ones you're going to be most concerned with, and try and address controlling the costs or recalibrating expectations if you need something more. Now, reporting necessarily hasn't changed. We do have some out-of-the-box reports that you can configure here. Many use these, and we can help you. And we have some help files that you can reference on kind of reporting on your projected costs or being able to look at capacity constraints. I did want to bring your attention to our help center. We do have an area for reporting, and we have many Power BI free templates you could take advantage of. For example, a status report could be done in Power BI, and this makes sense if your stakeholders happen to be in Power BI quite a bit and it's easier for them to see and get access. You have complete liberty of downloading these, and someone that has Power BI knowledge can make any tweaks. You have access to the data using our APIs. If by chance you need help with creating reports, we do have reporting expertise on hand to be able to help you. All right, keeping in touch. Project managers, as they're trying to do their job within their project management solutions, they're of course doing a lot in terms of communication, and then of course keeping Meisterplan up to date. Communicating within Meisterplan has been enhanced over the last quarter for sure. One area I want you to look at is your profile. Your profile, I'm acting as if I'm Kim Young, who is a project manager on many of these projects. As a project manager, I may want to know if anybody changed my project or added allocation comments or changed anything on my project. I could switch these on and indicate I want a daily update of that or weekly. Same thing for resource managers, of course. But this gives you a way to just get notified something's changing, and again, may just trigger that conversation that needs to happen. If you see these turned off like you do right now, just resend your verification link, and it's just an email. Just verify your email address, and then you can turn these on under your profile. The other place you can see notifications is in this bell. So if someone commented on your project or mentioned you, you would now see this in the notification bell in the top right-hand corner. And the other way a project manager could keep in touch with what's happening is the change log, which is the fourth option down. So if I was looking at my projects, not Team Planner, sorry about that, and looking at change log, I might only care to look and see if anything changed on my schedule or allocation. So you can filter the change log to just those type of changes. Keep it there, it will stay there for you. Maybe if you're the only one that probably should change milestones, but there might just be a few different things you care to see, and don't worry about everything else. So change logs also a good way. When I highlight my project, I can see if anything changed on that project. Of course, you get the email. All right, I know that was a really quick run through. I want to make sure we have time for questions. So I wanted to summarize. We can help with integrations from your project manager tool, and it helps you get portfolio level decision making, and it could help you not duplicate your effort. We also have a new virtual network that allows you to connect with other companies of a topic of your choice. It's free for customers. On the registration, there's a registration form on the events page that allows you to just indicate what topic you're interested in. And as we're seeing the interest of a certain topic, we will connect you with other companies. We do have different workshops and training. One that I'll call out specifically is helping teams get better at estimating time with more accuracy. It's a workshop directly to enhance how do you estimate work at the high level. It's a challenge for many people, and we have experience with helping teams get better at that. We can integrate your tools, as I mentioned, and with Power BI, have those free templates for you to get started with, or give us a call. We have numerous talent that can help with some really great advanced Power BI reports. All right, Caroline, let's see, is there any questions we can help answer?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Debbie, for that thorough review of how project managers can use Meisterplan. Okay, let's see. Feel free, you guys, if you have any questions, raise your hand, or you can write in the questions panel. It looks like we do have one question already. The question is, regarding the last updated date in the list, can you filter off this? For example, not updated in the last week, 2 weeks, etc., or make updates more targeted?
No, but that does seem like a good idea. Yeah, in this case, I would sort by the last change date and see you kind of know February 1st, anything that hasn't been updated February 1st. This actually could be a good PMO tip. You know, if nothing's been updated since February 1st, you can actually do a quick comment to that project manager or make a change. We've seen a process of the status having one answer called need update. And so if say your status says needs update, you can bulk edit, do an edit for status, change it to the option needs updating. That project manager would automatically get an email saying this needs updating. So it kind of forces the communication for anything that is, needing a change.
Okay. Any other questions? You can raise your hand. You can write in the questions panel. It looks like, Debbie, that's our only question today. If you guys have questions afterwards, please feel free to reach out directly to Debbie or to your customer success representative, and we'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. We will be sending a follow-up email with a link to the recording of this webinar that you can share with anyone within your organization that you feel like that would benefit. And we'll also send out a follow-up survey as well. So we appreciate your attendance and participation, and look forward to you joining our next webinar. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.